we lost Laura. What the heck happened? Let's try this.
There we go.
What was that? I need a producer like Tony, Andrea. Ladies and gentlemen, hi. Welcome to History of a Haunting. I am one of your hosts, Carrie.
And I'm your other host, Laura.
And we have a very special guest host today. She needs no introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Andrea Perron. Yay!
Hi. It's delightful to join both of you. I'm so pleased to be here.
Oh, I'm so glad to have you. I'm so glad to have you. I do have one pressing question that I'm going to ask you straight out of the gate first. How is Peanut?
Peanut's asleep over on her pallet right here.
Is she? Okay.
She is. And when she wakes up, she'll say, "Can I get in your lap?" And I'll bring her in, and she's had a very busy day.
Has she?
And, a lot of activity today, so it's there's a little bit of nap time involved right now.
Good.
But she'll come swooping up into my lap at some point.
Okay, good. You're welcome. You're probably going to get to meet Laura's cat, Eddie, because he does the same thing. So, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of times. I think the other two are outside, so if he's left in the house by himself, yeah, he'll for sure be trying to open my office door.
Great.
That's what he does.
You'll
have me out there meowing and banging the door.
Well, guys, we brought Andrea on to sit down and have a chat with her about all kinds of stuff. And as I had mentioned, we have been promoting you for the last several weeks, Andrea. And as everybody knows, the one thing that most people know you from is that it was your family that the very first Conjuring movie was based on, and your time in the Harrisville farmhouse. But what a lot of folks don't know is that you study UFOs and ufology. Am I saying that correctly, ufology?
Yes.
Oh, good. Okay. Good. So let's talk for just a little bit about the Harrisville farmhouse. And is that what you guys called it when you lived there, or it was just the house, or how did it get that name? Is it just because it's in Harrisville, Rhode Island, or?
Yeah, but it was, unfortunately, it's got the tag as the Conjuring House now, but it's actually the Richardson Arnold Estate. And when we bought it, everybody just referred to it as the old Arnold Estate.
Oh, okay.
It was actually built by the Richardson family, and then through marriage became the Arnold family, because it was built back in a time when women were not legally allowed to own property.
Okay. Yeah. Gotcha.
The good old days. Yeah.
The good old days. So now you have written a series of books about your time living in the home. And now, did you live there for 10 years? Or
yes, roughly
it was
10 years.
Roughly 10 years. Okay.
Yeah, well, my mother found the house in June of 1970, bought the house in December of 1970.
Okay.
After all the, everything that goes into buying a house, especially buying an estate that has 200 acres, there were surveys involved and all kinds of things that had to happen before my parents could close on it. And then I think they signed the papers the first week of December. Mr. Kenyon was not yet ready to move out. The house that his son was building him on his own property in the village was not ready yet.
Oh.
And my mother was under no circumstances moving her family over Christmas holidays. So
fair.
We waited several weeks before we moved in. Mom said, just save your boxes from your Christmas gifts so it'll be easy to move things. And
sure.
And so we did that, and we moved in on January 11th, 1971, but we were already the owners. And so Mom found it in June of 1970, and we left in June of 1980. So even though we didn't technically own it, In June of 1970, we visited it so regularly that it felt like home. It was already home, even though it wasn't quite yet.
Yeah.
So, so I just tell everybody 10 years, because it really did feel like that was where we were supposed to be, and every single day felt like a week or a month between the time that my mother discovered it and the day we moved in. And we visited it, as I said, a number of times, many times, prior to owning it. And Mr. Kenyon wanted my family to have it, and he felt that he told my mother it would be the perfect place to raise children out on the 200-acre estate. But he didn't tell her anything about the activity in the house. It wasn't until the day that we moved in, where 4 of the 5 of us saw a full body apparition, and didn't say anything to the adults, because you don't walk up to your parents on moving day and say, Mommy, I think there's a ghost in the other room. We didn't even know what it was that we saw.
Wow.
We just know that when I saw him, he looked absolutely flesh and blood. Like I could have walked up to him and touched him. My sister Nancy saw him evaporate into thin air.
Wow.
And Cindy saw him. Christine saw him. I saw him. Mom and April did not. They were working in the kitchen trying to unpack the boxes that we were bringing in. And then later in the afternoon, my dad was in the dining room with Mr. Kenyon and the 4 of us. April was still with Mom. She was too little to, she needed to stay right with Mom.
Sure.
And she was only 5. And he manifested again in the room later in the day. And we all looked at each other, the girls, like, do you see that? Do you see what I see?
Yeah.
Do you see that? Okay. Without saying a word, but it was obvious to us that something very strange was going on, because he was standing within maybe 2 to 3 feet of Mr. Kenyon and my father, and neither one of them saw him.
Really?
So we knew we were in a special place where, apparently only the children are filled in on the house guests.
Right.
And that was the beginning of our 10-year-long excursion through the netherworld that never ended. My mom always said that, we can leave this farm, but the farm will never leave us. And it was one of, no truer words. It's been a part of my life, a part of my consciousness, and a part of my heart for all these years. I mean, it was more than 50 years ago that we moved into the house. It was 50 years ago last year. And wow. It's the only place that still feels like home to me. Everything else feels temporary, but the farm feels somehow permanent.
Yeah. Yeah. And you have said that for a very long time, that you just feel such a strong connection to the location. Obviously, Hollywood, especially a James Wan movie. I'm such a huge fan of James Wan, the Saw movies. I'm a fan of horror movies and scary stuff. But obviously, Hollywood is going to pick out the parts that are the scariest that they can show. And from watching your show and seeing other things that you've been on, you had said that there were some things that happened in the house that he actually couldn't put in the movie because they were so scary. Was that correct? Did I hear that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. He read my books and said, "Oh, hell no.
Really?
No, we can't tell this story because it will run people out of the theaters." And the executives at New Line Cinema and Warner Brothers agreed with him.
Wow.
It would have just been too intense and people wouldn't have been able to handle it.
Yeah.
And, meanwhile, I'm thinking, well, I don't think of it as a horror story.
Yeah.
I don't. I think of it as a love story with a wicked supernatural twist.
Yes.
You know, but it's
Yeah.
not.
That
I
it
don't
definitely
think
was
it's a
that.
horror story. No,
Yeah.
it just doesn't even have that feel. I mean, The Conjuring got things right to a certain extent. You know, they cherry picked a little bit from my books and mostly relied upon the case files of Ed and Lorraine Warren,
Yeah.
which they also finagled with. So they basically came up with their own third story.
Right.
And admitted that and said, you know, it would be impossible to compress the 10 years that you spent there into a 2-hour film. That's an impossibility. And so they kept what they could and what they thought would be socially acceptable and not too terrifying. And the other issue was that James wanted to make sure that he got a PG-13 rating.
Really?
For the film. And I was with him out in California when the MPAA came down with their rating and they gave it an R, and that man's head blew off his body. I mean, he was so upset.
Wow.
And he said, I want a reason why. I need a reason why. Called them back. I want a reason why.
Yeah.
There's no real violence. There's no gratuitous sex. There's no bad language to speak of. There's no,
yeah.
You know, we deliberately made this as family friendly as possible. Why are you giving my movie an R?
Yeah.
And about 15 minutes, his assistant came back to him and handed him a piece of paper, and he read off of it and then showed it to me. And it had 4 words on it. The answer from the rating commission, the MPAA, it's just too scary.
Wow.
And
that's
like,
really...
People have no idea. You know, really, you have no idea.
That's really saying something, because he's kind of known for his gore. His movies, Saw, and he's really known for those movies, and it's like,
I never saw any of that. I don't pollute my mind with that stuff. I've never seen any horror movies in my life, except for The Conjuring, because I had to.
Right.
And that was it. I've not seen any of the other movies in the series.
Yeah.
I don't watch horror films because I find the medium of film itself is so compelling and so striking that it's like searing images and memories into your brain that you can never unthink and unsee and unfeel. And I don't want that kind of negative stuff in my mind.
Yeah.
I'm into British comedy and Hollywood musicals. You know, that's my favorite thing to watch. It is.
Ab Fab is my favorite show of all time.
Yeah.
Absolutely fabulous. Yeah.
Ab Fab. Yep, it is. And it's a wonderful show. My favorite of all time has to be of the British stuff, Downton Abbey. Downton Abbey.
Yeah, that was great
for me.
I have always wanted to watch that. I love Maggie Smith. I haven't had a chance to. I don't really watch a lot of television and movies these days. I think Game of Thrones, I liked Game of Thrones, and I'm a huge Doctor Who fan. I just love Doctor Who so much. It is so fun.
Doctor Who number 7, I believe, wrote to me, loves my books, loves my books, and wrote to me not long after I published the 3rd book, and has been on my friends list ever since. And I'm sorry to admit I can't even remember his name, but
I know, I'm like, oh, number 7. I think that was Tom someone. My son would know. He's watched them all from the very beginning.
Yeah,
but
I used to years and years ago. I was a Doctor Who fan. I was always a Trekkie. Always a Trekkie.
Really?
If it had to do with outer space, I was all in.
Yeah. Doctor Who is it's a wonderful show. It's so creative, so imaginative. So that's a really great segue into ufology. So how did you become involved in it? And how did you get to start studying about it? How did that happen for you?
Well, in October of 1971, I had just turned 13. It was our first autumn at the farm. I had a sighting over the farmhouse, right directly over the property, that altered it. It was my personal paradigm shift.
Okay.
It was from that moment on that I knew that we were not alone in the universe. And I became a ufologist before that word or term existed.
Yeah.
I studied, read everything, had my mother drive me down to the Providence Public Library, removed everything on the subject that I could find, which was sparse at best.
Yeah, I bet.
And started just throwing myself into the subject matter because I wanted to know what I saw that went over that farm.
Yeah.
And had several incidents during the years that we lived there, two of which several members of my family saw as well, and one that every member of my family saw, and it was undeniable what it was.
Really?
It was just undeniable. Yeah, I was, there's never a time that I go to the farm that I don't have a sighting with and introduce whomever I am with to the galactic family. And it's what I do. I feel like in some respects, I function as an emissary on this planet, that it's my job to tell people that, yes, they're real. Yes, they do exist. No, we're not alone and never have been.
Yeah.
Ever in the existence of the human race on planet Earth, that they're with us all the time, that there are a number of races that come and go off the planet. There are several that actually coexist with us on the planet. Most of them, not all, are humanoid. And that we are so, it's ridiculous how far we are from being alone in the universe. There are numerous races that, with the technology and the desire to come here and to oversee what's happening on this very interesting and tumultuous planet that is riddled with conflict and turmoil, and we're always right on the verge of extinction because of our own bad behavior. It is as Dolores Cannon said before she passed away, rest her soul, we're the most interesting show going on in the universe right now. And if they can get here, they do get here.
Yeah.
See what's happening, and not to interfere in our evolutionary process, but to simply let enough of us know on planet that we are here and that we do have a galactic family that cares about us, that is not here to threaten us. If they wanted to harm us, they could have done so millennia ago. It's not about that, which makes me crazy, because the government wants you to think that somehow they pose a threat. And they know better. They know better. They just want to keep the masses as fear-based carbon units so that they can manipulate the information and maintain some control over it, and parse it out
as they see fit.
Little tiny spoonful at a time, instead of being forthright and honest with people, because they're really convinced that society can't handle the truth. And maybe they're right about that. I don't think they are, but maybe they are. Maybe they know more than I do, but I can't reconcile it. I mean, this is the biggest story in the course of all of human history, and if we have proof that they have been here, which we do, in abundance, then it is incumbent upon them, in my opinion, to share their findings and their research with all of humanity. I think that it would literally change the course of our future. If
I agree.
everyone was aware, that I think that it would unify the human race in a way that nothing else could, and that it would be the most enlightening, illuminating information that we have ever come upon. Some of us know, for me, it's not a matter of faith, it's not a matter of belief, it's certainly not a matter of wishful thinking. I know that we are not alone. I have had numerous encounters, several close encounters with our extraterrestrial brethren over the course of most of my life. And even though I had my first sighting, what I refer to as conscious contact, when I was 13, I feel absolutely certain that I had prior contact. I just didn't understand what it was.
Wow.
Nice. Do you think with NASA hiring the theologians from most of the world's big religion, do you think that they're prepping to find a way to break it to the masses? That it's
yes,
real?
I think so. And I also think that there's a reason why the United Nations has an emissary to extraterrestrials. Why would they pay this woman gobs of money to just sit there and take up space just in case there's, some, this woman with like 14 degrees and, we have, the United Nations has an emissary to extraterrestrials. They know, a great deal more than we are allowed to know. I'm privy to information only because I work closely within a relatively small circle of researchers. I've had contact with several astronauts. I've gotten firsthand accounts that most people don't get.
Right. And likely won't ever. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel honored and privileged to be in that company. And I wish that I could reveal everything that I know from them. But what I can do is reveal everything I know about my experiences.
Yeah, for sure.
And so in 2018, after I had a particularly close encounter, I put all my other work aside and I started writing a book called A Wonder to Behold. They gave me the title and they gave me the subtitle, which is Guideposts for Intergalactic Engagement with Humanity.
Really?
And it is a book that basically not only details my experiences and those of close, trusted friends and confidants from around the world who agreed to contribute to the volume. But aside from that, I also felt that the whole book needed to be written about what was at the time, just a few short years ago, the pending paradigm shift for all humanity. And so the book is about that and a lot of other things, but it's almost 500 pages. Well, now it's going to be a little over 500 pages because, I wrote about, here it comes. Here comes the shift. I don't know what it's going to be. I don't know how it's going to be, but I'm telling you, here it comes.
Right.
Well, boom. March 11th, 2020, here it is. And so I had to experience COVID-19 global pandemic, really technically the first global pandemic, because this was the first pandemic where human beings had the ability to fly anywhere in the world and spread it liberally across the planet.
Right, yeah. The bubonic plague was primarily contained to Europe, and, they weren't,
You can be just about anywhere in the world in 24 hours.
Yes. Yeah. And so that was that. And, you know, if anybody should have been prepared, it should have been me. You know, if anybody on the planet should have been prepared for, boom, here's the shift, it should have been me. It leveled me.
Yeah.
It just leveled me. I mean, it was so overwhelming to see, and no vaccine on the horizon. Nobody even knew what we were dealing with yet.
Yeah.
Some of the scariest moments of my life. Everyone on this planet had to face their own mortality simultaneously.
Yeah.
People were dropping like flies. And it was, I don't know, it just felt like, you know, some greater being just sprayed a can of Raid all over this planet. And
that, oh my God, that is exactly what it was like.
You know, I mean, just boom, down they go. You know, I mean, it was horrendous.
Yeah.
It had a very adverse effect on me psychologically, emotionally, more than anything. And so for the first 2 or 3 months, I cried a lot. I slept a lot. I watched the news a lot. And I ate a lot of ice cream. I figured if I'm going down, I'm taking a tub of ice cream with me.
You know what? That was my vice too in the beginning. I don't know how much Ben and Jerry's I ate, but it was an unhealthy amount. And even if I did know, I certainly wouldn't tell anybody.
Well, I admitted to it, but I just said, hey, you know, it's a legitimate calcium source. You know, just cut me a break here. I discovered very quickly into the pandemic that there are 2 kinds of people. The kind that got stuck at home and ordered themselves a Peloton bike and got into the best shape of their freaking lives. Yeah. And then the rest of us that ingested as many COVID calories as we possibly could, whatever was available at the grocery store, even if I had to wear 3 masks to go in and get it.
Yeah.
You know,
so here's a funny story.
That latter category.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, me too. So I just moved not too long ago into a house, so I'm working on getting my office together. In the beginning of COVID, thinking that I was gonna be this other person, the first kind that does the Peloton type things, I got a guitar, being like, I'm gonna learn how to play guitar. I always wanted to know. It sat in the closet literally until just last week when I got it out. And I'm like, I'm either going to get rid of this or we're going to learn how to play it and my son can take lessons. So now it's out. I did learn a chord. But yeah, I'm still dealing with the things that I thought I was like a different kind of person when COVID started. That I was going to, you know, take all this and be completely positive. It was really hard. You know, you kind of started out like, oh, it's nice to kind of have this downtime.
This forced downtime to force you to stay at home and focus on,
it was, like, oh, I can focus on some hobbies, you know, put some time into things that I didn't have time for. It makes you slow down. Mm-hmm. I didn't think it was going to last 2 fucking years.
Seriously.
Then you got sad, and then I just started eating ice cream, and then I didn't, you know, whatever little motivation you had, or I did.
Yeah, the cabin fever sets in, the whole, and then it's just the underlying fear of doing anything and going anywhere, because we moved here last March, and we drove all the way from Phoenix, and my mom, at the time, she was sick. We didn't know what she had. We were going to just take her to the doctor here in North Carolina and at Duke, and they would get it figured out. But it was just fear of going anywhere, because not everybody was wearing masks. Not everybody was, even when they were supposed to, people were getting thrown out of stores and restaurants because they weren't wearing masks. So there's a lot of underlying fear of just being around the general public at all.
And you couldn't tell who was sick. There's symptomless. There's, you know.
Right. Yes.
There was so much fear and hopelessness.
That's the insidious nature of this virus. Mm-hmm. It's a sneaky little devil.
Yeah.
You know, it can park itself in a host and exhibit no symptoms and all, but that host can give it to everybody that they run into, even walk past on the street, being an airborne virus.
Yeah.
And we just didn't know anything about it. And then, of course, the whole thing got politicized, which everything is. And you know, and it went from being a public health issue to my side or your side, and which is just absurd. I mean, beyond absurdity as far as I'm concerned. And then when we were just getting to that point, a sick and twisted police officer put his neck on the knee of a helpless, defenseless man and killed him.
Yeah.
And the death of George Floyd, the murder of George Floyd.
Yeah.
Just wanton disregard for human life. It was the first time I had ever seen someone die.
Yeah.
It had a very profound effect on me.
Me too.
With hubris that I don't think that anybody can even wrap their mind around, when there were 4 officers that could have helped this man and instead choked the life out of him.
Yeah.
And were so sure that there would be no culpability for them that they didn't remove the phone from the 17-year-old girl that filmed it.
Yes.
And then put it out worldwide.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, anybody that felt that the way I did, we all marched our feet bloody. You know, took every risk to go out in large crowds when we had spent months and months and months avoiding interaction with anyone, because this was more important than us collectively, because it dealt with us collectively, and it sent shockwaves around the whole world. It affected, you know, multiple societies in myriad ways, and is still ongoing, and brought some very dark, toxic things in our society to the surface.
Oh, so much.
That's what really the paradigm shift is all about.
Yeah.
You know, because if you look at the evolution of COVID, and the subsequent variants and so on and so forth, I mean, you can see how people have changed through this. Suicide rates have gone through the roof. Drug overdoses have gone through the roof. The youngest generation, 30 and younger, are struggling daily with mental health issues. In the last 30 days, according to the most recent poll, 25% of the youth of this country have considered self-harm. Those are shocking statistics. And I think that they are probably lower than what is reality. And so that begs the question, what is our new reality? What is this?
Yeah.
And then, of course, because, you know, we hadn't had enough pile on, then a monster named Vladimir Putin decides that he is going to invade a sovereign country that poses no threat or risk to him at all, and blow away every man, woman, and child and animal that he can set his sights on. And what's going on there? I mean, I knew it was coming. I knew in November that he wasn't just going to amass, you know, more than 100,000 troops at the border and then just say, "Oh, just kidding,"
just to chill there.
Everybody go home.
Yeah.
You know, and so many people that were in denial. Oh no, he'll never do that. Oh my God, it'll trigger World War III. Oh my God, he's never going to do it. Well, he did it.
He did it.
And, you know, we're more than a month now into the worst thing that's happened since World War II in Europe.
Yeah.
And it's not going to stop anytime soon, I'm afraid. The loss of life is going to already is epic and going to get considerably worse.
Yeah.
The human rights atrocities that are happening that we know about are grounds for dragging his ass in front of the World Court.
Yeah.
As a violator of human rights, and, you know, basically initiating a genocide of what could conceivably be considered Russian people. They used to be. You know,
right. Exactly. Yeah.
You know, so you know, he's basically put his army into a position where they're having to kill relatives. You know, people that were born and raised in Ukraine, were part of the Soviet Union for. it is mind-boggling to me to see what is happening, how it is happening, and I really truly want the ghosts of Ukraine to haunt him in life and death and far beyond for all of eternity. He is pure evil and madness unleashed on this planet. He always has been.
He always has been, yes.
And for decades has been empowered by inaction. Nobody has held him accountable for, what he did in Syria. Nobody held him accountable for the Crimean Peninsula. Accountable for Donbass. Nobody held him accountable for Chechnya. I mean, we're going back and back and back.
Yeah.
And, he never paid a price before for these incursions into land that was not his own. Thinks that it's perfectly okay to kill anybody that threatens him, whether it's by poison or shoving them out a window, or
that's what I was going to say. Anybody
down in the streets in front of their own, their own apartment. And so, what we're seeing now, I think, is, I described this in the book as having a flamethrower put at the base of the cauldron of all human society. And after a while, what's in that cauldron gets overheated, super hot, and begins to boil. And what is this toxic sediment that over time has kind of filtered through into the darkest spot in that cauldron has come to the surface.
Yeah.
And is being hit with the white hot spotlight of scrutiny, and is in its own right a form of spiritual illumination.
Yeah.
This shouldn't have to be how humanity wakes up and begins to see with new eyes what our old reality is and decide to change it. And that's what's happening now. So I felt compelled to write about my experience of the pandemic and about George Floyd and about the fact that Beirut basically got blown off the planet because of neglect and greed and just exploded into nothingness. And it was a news story for 3 days. And then the whole rest of the world forgot about it, except Lebanon. That these are things that we need to examine about ourselves. And, are we able to evolve beyond this rather primitive, dualistic mindset that dictates fear to us? I think the greatest dictator on earth is fear itself. And all other dictators and autocrats rely upon it to control and take power over the masses. And Putin is just one glaring example, but there are plenty more, including Xi Jinping, Kim Jong-un. I could, a list all the way down my arm. There's 60 dictators that are in charge of numerous countries around the planet right now that call all the shots and keep all the money for themselves and let their people suffer and starve and die because greed.
Yeah.
That's what I think that we will ultimately need to confront on the other side of this, so that we can not only imagine but create a world where one man no longer has the power to hold the whole rest of the world hostage, to hold the sword of Damocles to the throats of all humanity with his nuclear arsenal. We need to self-reflect. We need to examine our journey, and we need to change course. Capital W-E, humanity. needs to make a change, because if we do not, and if we continue, I look at the images out of Ukraine, and I want to gag when I think of just, oil depots in full flames, that the black residue of that oil just going up into the atmosphere. Well, I breathe that air too.
Yeah.
And I am just as pissed off about it as anybody in Ukraine in terms of losing their ability to have facilities to hold their natural resources, whatever they happen to use for power. He is, as I said, with wanton disregard for humanity, just plowing over a peaceful country that wasn't ever looking for any altercation with him. This was indeed a war of choice. And I absolutely, no matter how much blowback he got for saying what he did, I absolutely agree with Joe Biden that Vladimir Putin cannot remain in power.
I completely agree too.
I agree too.
And because he doesn't even care. Yeah, he doesn't even care about his own people. Like you said, he's poisoning them, and he's doing this, and they're mysteriously disappearing, and he does not even care about his own citizens.
He's a megalomaniac.
Yes.
If you look that word up in the dictionary, it is the perfect. I mean, he's so far beyond narcissist that. Megalomaniac is really the only word that I can think of that describes him. I think that. That kind of behavior and the abuse of this kind of power renders someone a pariah in world society.
Yeah.
And I believe in karma, and he will get his. It's not about that. It's not about a reconciling or a resolution of this somewhere down the road where he gets his. It's about how many people, innocent people and animals die in the wake of it. So I had to experience all of this and write about it. And so I'm republishing A Wonder to Behold. It will be available in softbound and hardcover with all the photographs of all the extraterrestrials that I have photographed in living color.
Nice.
It's a really wonderful volume. It will be out soon as I can. I'm still the finishing touches on a book. It's the hardest part.
Yeah.
It really is, to make it as close to perfect as humanly possible.
Right.
And, there were a number of major incidents that occurred between when I first published it in August of 2019 till now 2022, had so many incidents occur and so many incredible experiences and phenomenal photographs that I took. I just had to include them in the book. And my poor publisher, he's like, oh, God.
That's exciting, though.
It's an opus now.
The Bible,
right?
And I said, well, this is the UFO Bible, So
there you go.
So chill, just do what I want. Put this here, put this there, move that there, move this here, and add an addenda, an extended version of this book that acknowledges 2020. This is it.
Yeah.
Welcome to the paradigm shift.
Yeah.
So what do you think the aliens take on all this Ukraine being on the verge of World War III? Or did they just watch and wonder at our, for better terms, kind of idiocy, our own drive for self-destruction? Do you think they just, I'm always curious as to how they view
us,
things that are happening, especially right now with
that we're doing to ourselves.
All the volatileness that's going on in the world.
That we're doing to ourselves. You're right, Laura.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. There is a tacit agreement that we cannot evolve by them doing the hard work for us.
Makes
that
sense.
we have to save ourselves from ourselves, that will be the quantum leap that takes us out of our 3D shell and projects us into 4D, 5D, and beyond.
Yeah.
Now, I have real mixed feelings about this, because I would very much like them to make their presence known in a big way all around the world simultaneously. I can't think of anything else that would cause everyone to drop their weapons and fall to their knees, like everyone. But they can't do it that way. Instead, what they're doing is making personal contact with hybrids, people who share some of their DNA that are on this planet. They make connections through individuals who they know love them and welcome them, and actually, myself included, beg for them to get their asses down here and do something about this before we blow ourselves to freaking smithereens.
Yeah.
But I also understand their position, and I understand that they can't evolve for us. They already evolved.
Yeah.
They're already where they are, that they're actually able to be here and care so deeply about us. You know, they have an intrinsic understanding that reality is multiple dimensions. It's multiple layers of what some refer to as the space-time continuum, all folded all over each other, you know, creating all of consciousness and all of existence, all of it being one thing. But if you think like a layer of phyllo dough, if you're a baker, especially if you have any Greek blood in you, if you lay out phyllo dough and you pull back this very, very thin layer of the dough, there's many, many layers beneath it, and yet it's all one. That's the dough.
Yeah.
And so to me that seems an apropos metaphor to describe the dimensional nature of the universe. You know, we don't live in a 3-dimensional, 5-sensory world. We live in a multi-dimensional universe. We are part of the whole. The whole is part of us.
Yeah.
We are them. They are us. And we, capital W-E, are one. And until we come to a full realization of that oneness in all existence, will we be able to leap beyond our very, very limited understanding of ourselves, of this living planet that we exist on, and in the universe that we spin around with countless other organisms and life forms, including some far more intelligent and technically advanced than we are. I believe that we're all related in some way, shape, or form. I refer to extraterrestrials not as aliens, which has such a very negative connotation.
It does.
That word, not as aliens at all, but as our galactic family. And my job down here is to have experiences and share them, and have more experiences and share them, and then have some more experiences and share them, and not be afraid of anything or anyone, because I know that I'm just here doing my job, and that I am protected in perhaps unusual ways, but protected nonetheless. And I'm one of many, many thousands and countless, possibly millions of people who have had numerous experiences, not just with spirit, but with the galactic family. And really what we're having to do now is to wash away the fear so that people will stand up and speak their truth, and speak truth to power, and speak truth to the universe, and in numbers sufficient enough that our invitation to them will ultimately it will ultimately result in a coming together that is so significant and so profound that it will change the trajectory of human evolution across the globe, with a wave of consciousness raising akin to a tsunami.
Wow. That would be something really miraculous. I think that there are so many people in this world that are so staunchly, like, dig their heels into the ground, refusing to open their minds.
Or even open their eyes to
yes.
truth.
Yeah.
To facts, basic facts. You know, not alternate facts, real facts. There are not alternate facts. Alternate facts don't exist. There are real facts, and then there's the made up stuff.
Yeah, and I think that there's so many of them, and I think that we all knew that, we all have our differences, and you believe this and I believe that, but I think, especially with the pandemic, and I think in the last handful of years, a lot of true colors came about. And I know that I certainly saw it in some of my closest friends and family that I didn't realize that I just could not relate to them.
Explode.
That I just couldn't relate to them, and that they were like, that's fine, you can go too, Carrie, because what you believe is a bunch of garbage, and we are right and you are wrong. And it's just, I would love to see all of that happen that you mentioned, but I just think that this paradigm shift, I feel like it feels like decades.
No, it's
to
not
get
going to be decades, because so many of the people that are lower vibrational people on the earth are dying off.
They are
in numbers that are staggering to me.
Yeah.
Just dying off, whether it's because, they are science deniers and refuse to get a shot in their arm that can save their life, or because they're just, the insurrection blew my mind, absolutely blew my mind. We're seeing some momentum in terms of accountability around that, but not enough, not fast enough. It is going to take some time to reconcile all of this, to pull all of this together. The like-minded mortals who not just believe or have faith or even, wishfully think that spirit exists and ETs exist. And, there are a lot of people out there who go, those people are nuts.
Oh, 1,000%. 1,000%.
Well, now the Pentagon, it's been released now that the Pentagon had a whole department researching UFOs. The government had to release tapes, where you hear fighter pilots discussing the fact that it's a UFO, and there's no explanation for the physics of it, like that we as humans that live, we don't have anything that can go anywhere near it. And you can see it all on tape. That's what I don't understand anymore. Like, when you have the Pentagon having to admit that they themselves have been researching this for a long time. Yeah. So,
more than 70
we know for
years.
sure that it's there.
Yeah.
Yes. Because why would they pour multi-billions of dollars into researching something that none of them believe exists?
Right.
It's all one big fat lie.
Yeah.
There's just,
and now they're getting caught on
an
it.
amalgamation of lies.
Yeah.
And it is time for the truth to surface and to be revealed to the world in a very compelling way. And even then, there will be multitudes of people that just deny it.
Yeah.
I'm really not big on conspiracy theories, but I will tell you one thing. Our government for the last 70 plus years and not just ours, many around the world
Sure.
that were privy to the same information, were nothing but a pack of lying liars who lie so routinely that they just don't know any other way. And the thing is that they justify it by thinking that they're doing us all a favor by keeping us in the dark.
Yeah.
That we'll live, long, happy lives in blissful ignorance rather than coping with the truth of our existence. And, those beings that love us, who have come here, what I was saying earlier about the multiple dimensions all existing simultaneously. The main reason, it's not that they weren't here before, because they certainly were.
Yeah.
But a multitude more came when we first started blowing off atomic and hydrogen bombs. Because every time we detonated one of those bombs on this planet, we were not only doing enormous damage to this planet, we were damaging other places in the universe simultaneously.
Well, that makes sense.
So when
that makes total sense.
Right on the verge, the Cuban Missile Crisis. I don't think either of you were old enough to remember it, but I do. That was as close as we had come until right now, on the brink of nuclear war and the ultimate destruction of the world.
Yeah.
And we came very, very close to disaster. Well, we're right there again.
Yes, absolutely.
This is a very frightening time to be alive. But I also believe that good conquers evil and love conquers fear, or none of us would even be here anymore, because somebody would have wiped us off the planet long ago. So I think that what we need to do is focus our attention, and the messages that I get from the galactic family are very succinct. They are very clear. I get downloads almost daily, multiple frequencies, just jamming in my system up with messages that I can't even consciously decipher.
Yeah.
But they come up in other ways, in lectures and conversations like this.
Yeah.
But I will tell you that on the early morning of February 24th, I went outside with my little peanut butter cup, who's laying right over there, and with a cup of coffee, and I lit a cigarette, and I'm just sitting on the terrace, taking in what was a beautiful morning. And all of a sudden, this is what I heard. Not in my own voice, but in a voice. This is what I heard. If we are here, this planet and its people are in crisis. We are here.
Oh my God.
Wow.
That's
implicit in that message was we are here to help. And implicit in that message was we, as in me, that I am here to help. And that's all I want to do, is help heal the world of its woes. I can imagine a world where everyone loves everyone else just because they exist.
Yeah.
I can imagine. I know that the place that I come from has no duality as we know it. The place where I come from is full of light and love and peace and tranquility and prosperity for all, and just a beautiful, beautiful place. When I leave Earth, I don't ever want to come back unless it really has healed.
Yeah.
And so while I'm here, I do my part, what little I can, to help heal the world of its woes. And the only way that I know how to do that is to reach out to as many people as I can and let them know about my experiences to let them know that we can get past this, because thoughts are things. And when we project our intention for the greater good in our world and for all those that share this planet with us, when we project our intentions for the greatest good for Mother Gaia, for the planet that we dare to call home and then defile so regularly that she's gasping for breath. When we learn our lessons, if we learn them in time, then perhaps humanity can be salvaged. I think the jury is still out on that, but I have to believe that at least there's a chance that we'll make it. I have to believe that. I have to, or I just would leave. I just wouldn't want to be here anymore. It's oppressive. It's too painful. It is just an existence that is riddled with conflict and consternation and hatred and loathing and contempt. And it doesn't have to, all we have to do is change our collective mind. Everything is consciousness. Everything is energy. Everything is one thing. When we get to the place where we can pull all of that together and embrace each other without judgment and in pure love, I do believe that what is evil afoot in the land, what is evil, will dispel into the ether as though it never even existed, because ultimately, based on my own experience and my realizations through life, the one thing that I have learned about human beings is that our greatest superpower is love. And if we let it be, then love can and will be the answer to every single question.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree too.
I agree. Laura, did you have something to say?
Just to comment on that, I think one thing that really gives me a lot of hope is that people are really moving toward mindfulness and learning. Yes. I think meditation has, in my experiences, everybody meditates now. It's not a religious thing. It's not just Buddhists or certain, religions. Everybody's starting to learn how powerful that can be.
Yes.
And what I personally believe is that we always know the right answer for ourselves. It's getting through the cobwebs of our mind to filter out the bullshit and the bad feelings and stuff for ourselves to find that right answer in that right way.
Yes.
And I think it's great that people are starting to really understand how powerful that tool is, and that we're starting to see, and even during COVID especially, a lot of people are learning how important it is to their centering and their daily lives. And I think that's one thing that does give me a lot of hope. And I know for me, it changed my life.
Mine too.
It did. It changed everybody's lives, Laura. Everybody. Nobody escaped through COVID, and we're not through COVID yet. We're not. But, at least we're at the end of the beginning. But nobody will escape this unscathed. Before this passes through the world, every one of us will either have lost someone we loved or know of someone who our loved ones loved. There will be no escaping this.
Yeah.
And the thing is that, I lecture a lot about what I call soul school, which is written about a lot in A Wonder to Behold. That I feel that we kind of get plopped down here into soul school to learn our lessons. And that unfortunately, based on my observations lifelong, it seems to me that the test always precedes the lesson. which is grossly unfair.
Yes.
You don't have the information to answer the questions on the test until after you fail the test.
Yeah.
And then you learn the lesson. It just seems to ask backwards to me. And yet that is how we learn. We learn very slowly. I mean, humanity is like slow burn. And we learn the hard way all the time. It's got to be the hard way. Yeah. Nothing can just be a switch that we flip. Yeah. Where we just change our mind and go, wow, we really screwed this up over here. Let's think about this in a different way now and take an entirely new approach. That's not how it works. We have to fight. We have to argue. We have to have votes. We have to, and to a certain extent, even though our democracy is, rather in shambles right now, at least it still exists. And it's hanging by a tether, but at least it still exists. Yeah. And so, maybe there is that need to argue through everything, but ultimately we are going to have to come to the realization that if we are to survive, then we need to, number one, tell the truth. Number two, act on the truth. Number three, change the course individually of our trajectory going forward. And then number four, we need to come together as one. And right now we have two existing opposing mindsets, not just in this country, but across the world. Yeah. And one of them is all for me, the rest of you SOBs are on your own. Yeah. And the other one is we are all in this together. And I think you probably figured out that I come down on the side of the latter, not the former.
Yes.
But I feel how I think about this, and more importantly, the way I feel about this is that each one of us is responsible for raising the vibration and raising the frequency of this planet. The frequency of this planet right now is through the roof, but it's because of fear.
Yeah.
It's because of fear. And I know that fear. 2 weeks ago, I sat in my room on my bed in an upright fetal position with my arms wrapped around my knees and my knees at my chin and prayed for hours and hours as I watched Russian troops bombarding a nuclear power plant with cruise missiles. And I thought, these motherfuckers, this is the and they're not only going to blow themselves up, you stupid motherfuckers, you're going to blow yourselves up, and then you're going to pollute the entire northern hemisphere so that it will be unlivable for half of an eternity. And you don't even know what you're doing. You don't know what you're fighting for. You don't know why you are where you are. You still think that somehow these are war games. Well, I'm sorry, but there is no game in which, just like the old movie with Matthew Broderick, there is no war game involving thermonuclear weapons that anyone wins.
Yeah.
There's no winner. We all lose. You stupid sons of bitches.
Yeah.
So I've been in a state of heightened agitation. Pardon my language. I'm so sorry.
We say it all the time.
Language, so, I actually said fucking idiots under my breath, and I was like, oh, I hope they didn't hear me say that.
So then I just think you should call it what you call it. And if that helps get some of the stress and the tension off, I have a degree in this language.
Do it.
I feel absolutely entitled to abuse it as I see fit.
Right? That's why we got it.
I got a piece of paper that says I can. No, this is a pivotal time in the course of human history. Right now, we're living it.
Yeah.
Where I do believe that we are all individually here for a reason. But I think that we have to be part of the shift, part of the paradigm shift that, keep the frequency on the planet high, but not because of fear. Keep it high because of love. Yeah. And lifting each other up out of this maelstrom, out of this malaise that we are suffering at the hands of one maniac. Yeah. That just decided that, this would be a really good time to blow up Eastern Europe.
Yeah.
Okay,
and I think,
I'm attacking 1,000-year-old cities, wiping out landmarks that can never be replaced. And that is just a secondary effect of the damage being done to human life. All life in Ukraine right now.
And I think it's really, I think it's really amazing. And I find a lot of hope in it, in that he went in and he thought that it would take days to take over Ukraine. Days.
Cause them to cower.
And it's been a month. And they still don't have it. Ukraine is fighting back tooth and nail. They just got pushed back. And he is getting more pissed off by the day, which on the one hand
scares me.
Funny, but at the same time is kind of scary. Yes, there was a guy on, I read an article on CNN, and they were talking about, okay, well, Putin, and he's threatening, saying, I've got all of this nuclear arsenal. And the guy was like, on the one hand, him making the threats hurts nobody. It scares a lot of people, sure. And that's why he does it. But it doesn't benefit him, like you were saying. It doesn't benefit him to use it. That will not get him what he wants. And part of him knows that, but how crazy is he to just be like, oh, well, if I can't have it, no one can. That's the thing.
How many women have died because a man said, if I can't have her, no one will?
Too many. Yeah.
What we need to change, there are many, many good men on this planet, and they need to stand with the women and stand up to this, because, here's the truth of it. And it's hard for the good men to hear this. It's hard for anyone to hear this, but it is the truth. Throughout the course of human history, men make war, women and children suffer and die. Men make more war, women and children suffer and die. We are the life-affirming force on this planet. We, the women. We are the nurturers and the protectors. And I really do believe that it is time that we become a global force and infiltrate and eventually take over the geopolitics that allow for this kind of overt, senseless aggression. I think that there's a whole bunch of ego-driven men who are completely testosterone poisoned that wander around this planet and think that, they are the end all be all, and that all others must be subservient to them. And I am here to say no more war. I am here to say no more of this. And when we speak as one voice by the countless millions, he's already a social pariah. His country has been decimated financially, and we're just getting going. We are punishing. I'll be republishing my book about this, but we are punishing a lot of innocent people doing what we're doing as well. I mean, there are people in Russia, little children in Russia, that don't understand why, even though they don't have ballistic missiles exploding in the tops of their apartment buildings, they still don't understand why mommy can't get any milk or bread. They still don't understand why mommy and daddy, who were fine a month ago, now suddenly don't have any money. This is why the masses have to suffer, because of the whims and the fury of so few. That's what needs to change. that ultimately needs to be the lesson learned in soul school. And if we don't get there really, really soon, like within my lifetime, God willing, then I don't think we're going to get there at all. And we are doomed to self-destruction. And I don't want to be around to see that. I don't.
No.
I want to be at ground zero if that's what happens.
Yeah.
And just have it be lights out and sayonara, and I am never coming back here. I do not want to come back here. I really do believe, as I wrote in my book, that at some point there was some clerical error made in the cosmos that assigned me to this in the first place. I mean, somebody put a piece of paper in the wrong outbox. And I, not for a moment do I think that I agreed to this, knowing what I would be, being born into. But I will tell you that I have felt very much a misfit on this planet my whole life. I've been, fake it till you make it since I was knee high to a grasshopper. And only in about the last 10 years or so have I realized what my mission is, and have I completely recalibrated my life to accommodate it.
Really?
Completely. I just I just wiped the slate clean and started all over again. I had a great job. I had a great career in the theater company of Rhode Island. I'd been with the company for more than 20 years. I loved that aspect of my life. It was such like a decompression chamber compared to the job that I had.
Yeah.
So my days were full, my nights were full, and I was blissfully happy knowing what I knew, but not sharing it.
Yeah.
Knowing exactly what I knew then is what I know now, but not sharing it because I cared too much about my stellar reputation.
Sure.
As being a very professional, very pragmatic, very goal-oriented person who really liked being so well liked. And then I didn't care anymore. And then like a bell went off in my head in August of 2007. Like, it's time. Now's the time. It's time. Now it's time. And I started writing, and I didn't stop for 7 years to the day that the third volume of House of Darkness, House of Light was published. 7 years to the day when I began the project. Wow. And I had already turned all my materials months before over to my publisher. I had no idea what date it would actually be released.
Right.
Yeah, and then I could say, okay, I've done what I was supposed to do. I put this out in the world, and then I lost in 2017. We lost my baby sister April.
Yes, and today is her birthday, correct?
And today is her birthday.
Today is her birthday.
Yes. Today's my mom's birthday too.
Is it?
Yeah, she passed. What is it? Almost 9 years ago.
Well, it's been 5 years for April, but it's it still feels very fresh, like it just happened. That. It's not the kind of grief that you just learn to live with it. You never actually get over it.
Right.
You just assimilate it and learn to live with it. And she does make her presence known around us so frequently in very profound ways that, as much as I miss being able to argue with her and, because we did a lot of that. We did. I mean, we were polar opposites. And yeah, we'd mix it up from time to time, and I'd give anything to have her back, even just one day.
Yeah.
Just one day. And I know that there are, of course, countless millions and millions of people who are suffering that same feeling all over the world all the time, and particularly now, and particularly through COVID. And that's why I think that this is the time that what we call the paranormal is most relevant.
Yeah.
No, it is.
Yeah.
It suddenly has this resurgence of people who are so fascinated with this subject and want to know more. And very often it's because they have had time to slow down and reflect and experience all of this in a way that life was too busy before COVID.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I know. I refer to it as BC and AD. BC was before COVID. AD is after Delta. And everything in between that is when the shift really began to occur. And there's no stopping it. You know, a human mind expanded does not contract.
Yeah.
But this is the time for us to reach out to as many kindred spirits and like-minded souls as possible. You know, the mere mortals that need to band together now and to realize that, yes, you may have lost a loved one, but love never dies and we never really lose them.
Yeah.
They are just as close as a whisper in your ear. Mm-hmm. They are all around us like the light of the morning sun. They see us and know what is happening with us. They watch over us with tender, loving care, not just our immediate loved ones, but our ancestors as well.
Yes, they do.
And to know that is, I hope, some small comfort for those who are just now beginning.
Yeah.
You know, there are a lot of seasoned people in this field that have been doing research and conducting investigations for, you know, decades.
Decades, yeah.
But more and more people are gravitating to this genre, to this subject matter now.
They sure are.
They're trying to deal with an unspeakable grief, and to feel that sense of connection still exists, even though the vessel that housed the soul that they love so much has perished from the earth.
Yeah.
You know, we're going to lose tens of millions of people all over the planet to this insidious virus by the time it has truly run its course. And it may be with us for eternity.
Yeah, it's. I think it's just a way of life. Like whooping cough, measles. It's all. Yeah.
That's basically what they say now is you're going to be getting your COVID shot like your flu shot. It's something that we're going to be. It's going to be just part of our society now. Part of the things you do.
Yeah. Did you ever think, back when you were writing House of Darkness, House of Light, that there would be such a, I don't want to say an influx of belief in the paranormal, but kind of. I mean, did you ever think that there would be so many more people that were willing to open their minds to it as there are now?
You're going to think I'm insane to admit this to you, but I'm going to tell you the God's honest truth about this. When I started writing what became the trilogy, I didn't know if there was going to be anybody out there that was interested in reading our story. I didn't know.
Really?
And when I got my first, it was before the movie, well before
yeah,
opened. And I got my first royalty check. It was for $113, and I had depleted tens of thousands of dollars of all my life savings so that I could afford to continue to live while I wrote the books. To, the exclusion of all else. I didn't have another job. I left my job in Rhode Island and I moved in with my mother and my sister in Georgia. And that's where I wrote the bulk of the books. I had only just started when I moved down, and I knew I needed to be with my family to do it justice, to tell the story accurately and authentically. Excuse me 1 second. Well, that burned. Hold on a second. Oh, look who's awake. Ah!
Hey, Peanut Buttercup.
Behold.
This is.
Kisses.
To my baby. This is my baby.
Yes, she is. Yes, she's very well loved. Yes, by most all of Andrea's friends and fans. Yes,
she has her own. She's an internet sensation.
She is.
Her own. You have your own Facebook page. You don't even know what Facebook is.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's my baby. She's
a Facebook star.
Got me through everything. I found her and saved her about 3 weeks before I think I was able to scoop her up and rescue her. I think it was January 15th of 2020. Yes. No, mommy needs this nose because it kind of fills out my face. And within a couple of weeks, well, even sooner, I had come back down to Georgia and took her with me, to Florida, because I found her in Georgia running between speeding cars on the road in front of my mother's house. Oh. And as soon as I saw her, I through the front windows, I said, "Oh my God, let her death be swift and painless." There was no question in my mind that this little dog was going to be killed.
Yeah.
And then I had a flash that my sister could do something about this. And so I said, "April, bring the puppy to me. You see her, bring this puppy to me. Rescue her, bring her to me." And she did. And before I knew it, this absolutely terrified, half the size she is now, it was just skin and bones, maybe 3.5, 4 pounds, nothing to her, just absolutely emaciated and terrified and freezing to death, was in my arms, and she has not left.
I know. I was like, she looks she's all chill. She's like,
she looks super sad.
Yeah, she's like, she's like, this rescue life is the best.
She's the center of my universe, and she knows it. And as fast as I rescued her, she rescued me right back.
Yeah.
Because really, it was within a couple of weeks that I read the first major article. I don't know if it was in the Washington Post or the New York Times or Science Digest or where I saw it, but I read the first the first disclosure about a novel coronavirus called COVID-19, and she was with me right here in this room, and I just sat back in this chair and I looked down at her and I said, "This is it. This is it. This is the paradigm shift. This will change everything as we know it, life as we know it." I just knew it. And I was talking to this little dinky dog who was like, "What are you talking about? Pick me up, pick me up." And she did pick me up. She picked me up out of the depths of despair. She was the reason that I got up every morning and did whatever was necessary. Ooh.
Bless you, little girl.
She did. She was the bright spot in what felt like a joyless life.
Yeah.
For month after month after month of grief and just disbelief.
Yeah.
That what I was witnessing was happening, and I could center myself on her, which is why I tell people all the time, if you have the means, if you have the willingness to save another soul,
Yeah.
please do, because they will save you right back.
They do. They're amazing. One of our sponsors of our podcast is Love Heals Rescue in Arizona, and she does amazing work. It's my friend Andrea, and she fostered all 3 of my dogs when she was working for other rescues, and then she started her own, and that looks just like she looks like Leia. Leia's always doing that. I've got 3 dogs, so we know. It's amazing. Animals are a really wonderful, wonderful source of not just companionship, but like you said, like they bring such joy and beautiful meaning to lives that can never ever be replaced. It's wonderful. She's so cute. Look at her. She's all chill. She's like, this is the best.
And when you're feeling down, I mean, there are reasons you like, okay, I gotta get up, I gotta take care of the dog, I gotta feed the cat, I gotta, they'll come and get you if you don't. So, it's nice. Like, they kind of force you to, like, they'll push you to get, come on, it's time, let's go.
They're truly, they're truly amazing.
When you're sad, they'll give you cuddles.
Right, and they're so funny. Like, I'll watch my dogs and think, oh my gosh, this dog is so silly. He's been chasing his tail for a full 5 minutes. And then I'll think, but I just sat here and watched my dog chase his tail for 5 minutes.
Honey, Carrie, it's just another form of meditation. Right. That's all that is.
It's right.
It's a 5-minute meditation right there.
It's the best. I just love it. She's so cute.
Yeah, it's like when you came to visit me, we were watching my cat half the time.
We were.
Like, it was like he was TV. I'm like,
they're the best.
So entertaining.
They are just
they are. They're great.
The best, yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
And they all have different personalities. They all, like, look at her. She's like, oh, I love it. I'm just going to nap here, okay?
She's the collapsible dog. She's a collapsible dog. Yes.
She's a sweetie.
Do you get to take her with you when you travel all the time?
Oh my God. It is so awful. I can't even tell you. I have cut my travel schedule in half. I mean, and still it's nervous breakdown mode when she sees me pull out a piece of luggage.
They know.
I mean, clinical depression sets in immediately.
Yeah.
There are certain words that don't listen to this. When I say guard the house, that means leaving.
That she knows.
So
yeah.
Bad. It is. Animals know when you save their lives, and really extraordinary. You got the COVID, don't you? And you just gave it to me. I know you did.
Just a sneezer son.
I know, he's sneezing. She's got the allergies. It's COVID, mommy. It's not that. It's just the allergies. And she does. She has allergies just like me. She loves ice cream just like me. Yeah, we have issues. And butter and mayonnaise, and she loves all my favorite things. It's the best reason not to die, because I have no guarantee wherever I go that they're going to have chocolate, coffee, butter. Really, I don't know.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have to hang around and enjoy my vices and share them for as long as possible.
Yes, her vices as well.
Right.
I do have several. But she's taught me to be still. She's taught me to silence the turbulence of my emotions, because, and that's anybody that's attached to an animal knows that they are very well aware of what our emotions are.
Yes.
And if I start to cry, she'll stop whatever she's doing. She'll wake up out of a dead sleep and come over and start licking the tears off my face and put her little arms around my neck and literally hug me to try to comfort me and make me feel better, even though she does not understand why I'm sad.
Yeah.
She feels it.
Yeah.
And I think that we have a great deal to learn, and not just from dogs and cats, but from all animals, even wild animals.
Yes.
That we can't cuddle, that we can't approach safely. But to watch them interact, to watch them nurture their young, to watch them react in very much, you can look into the eyes of an animal and see their soul. You know, I don't want to hear that we're the only ones that have souls. No, we don't. There is one soul, and all of us are tapped into that and an expression of it, in my opinion. That's my personal belief system. And it's not attributable to any single religion or, creed or dogma. It's not. It's just my personal understanding.
Yeah.
Who we are and why we're here and what there is to learn and what there is to impart. And she's a big part of that process for me.
That's wonderful.
When I lost my last dog, 2 months before I lost my sister, I was so devastated that I said, never again. I'm never going to have another dog.
I've said that before too.
I can't bear the pain of losing them. I just can't bear the pain. And then the universe laughed in my face, and, just dumped her in my lap. And, I was always a big dog person. And I'm not talking like medium-sized dogs. I'm talking big dogs. Like my last dog was a Great Pyrenees, and she weighed 130 pounds.
Whoa.
Yeah.
And then
I like
the
big dogs
universe
too.
laughs and dumps this little dinky dog.
3-pound dog.
This is what you need right now. And I took her to 2 vets. We tried every which way we could to find out if she had a chip in her. She had no collar, no tags, nothing. She was absolutely depleted and emaciated. I mean, you could see every bone in her body. I mean, it was just pathetic. And both vets that I took her to said, based on the injury that she had under her arm, that she had most likely dug her way out of a puppy mill.
Oh, God.
That she had been force-bred on her first heat and had already weaned puppies and was not even a year old yet.
Oh, my God.
She didn't know what a toy was the day that I grabbed her and brought her in the house. And I got her on the back porch feeding her little pieces of ribeye steak. And I walked in the house, and my sister Christine, who had been watching her zip, 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 zip all over the yard for 2 days as I was trying to gain her trust and coerce her to come this way, little girl. I walked in the house with her in my arms, and she was already cuddled up against me like this. And I had held her for approximately 1 minute when I brought her into the parlor, and my mother and my sister were both sitting there, and Christine turned around and she's like, I cannot believe you caught that fucking dog.
Right.
I can't believe you caught that dog. And that's it. We're inseparable. And she saved me through, I think, what has been the most disturbing, the most difficult and disturbing period of my life in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's so beautiful. Look at her.
She is.
She's so cute.
Beautiful.
She's so cute.
When she gets excited and she cocks her ears, you're not old enough to remember the Flying Nun. But there was Sister Betrayal, the Flying Nun. I don't know if you ever...
Yeah, I've heard of it. Yeah.
The wind would catch them, and she has Sister Betrayal ears. And she's really excited. You got some serious body heat going on here, chick. I'm sweating because of you.
She's like, that's oven. Okay.
My little oven. I know. Right. Yeah. Why don't you go back down here? And we're going to, all right. No, she's not leaving.
She's not leaving.
Hold on. I'm either having a hot flash or
she's a little toasty.
Yeah. Yeah, there's that. But, I know it probably might seem a little off topic for some people that watch this show, but everything is one thing, and everything is energy, and everything is consciousness.
Yeah.
That is the crux of existence.
I agree.
And so this conversation about how we interact with the animals that we are graced to share the earth with is just as important as anything else that we've discussed tonight.
I agree.
And I feel that if it prompts even one person watching to decide to open their home and go save a life, then it will have been a very valuable conversation indeed.
I agree. I absolutely agree. I do want to ask you two things. One, what is your advice to people that are watching and that are listening that find they have moved into a home with paranormal activity and they've never experienced it before? What is your advice to folks that find themselves living in a house with ghosts, essentially?
Embrace it. Unless you're actually enduring physical attacks or something so malignant or malicious that it poses a threat, and be careful how you perceive that.
Yeah.
Be careful how you label that, before you make the decision that this is bad and has to go. First, consider at least the possibility that this is a gift being given to you. And I have often said, probably one of my most famous quotations, I don't even remember when I first wrote it or where it is, but it is as follows: to be touched by spirit is a blessing, not a curse. It is that rare glimpse into the realm from which we come and will inevitably return. Be not afraid.
I love it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I love it.
They have so much to teach us.
They
Imagine
do.
if we lived in a world where we were, as we all know, completely, utterly surrounded by spirit all the time, and we didn't know it. And we all went to our grave thinking we were never going to see our loved ones again.
Yeah.
That there's, no other realm besides this one. And that the end is the end, ashes to ashes, dust to dust, and no hope for an afterlife. Spirit is empirical evidence of an afterlife.
Yes.
It is empirical proof of the existence of the fourth dimension. It is, we might not know where they are, how they can communicate with us. We might not know the answers to myriad questions around the existence of spirit. But I find that too many people focus their attention on trying to determine who they are. Is this Bathsheba Sherman? Is this Mrs. Arnold? Is this, Johnny Arnold? Is this Oliver Richardson, from the books, the story?
Sure, yeah.
We don't know. Only one spirit in that house ever self-identified, and it was the little boy, Oliver, to my sister April, and he was her playmate. And he was the only one that ever literally said his name.
Yeah.
And so for me, it doesn't matter who they were in life, that they still are in afterlife is all that matters.
Yeah.
That they still exist in some way, shape, or form, even if they're acting out badly or, behaving badly or, seem to have some grudge or some issue left over or unfinished business or whatever, that they exist and that we can have glimpses into that dimension that exists simultaneously with our own. That's a gift.
That is a gift.
It's
truly wonderful. Yeah. It's truly wonderful. My second question is, what is your advice to somebody that does have an encounter with an extraterrestrial or, one of the galactic family? What is your advice to them if it's their first encounter, or maybe they've had a number of encounters, but they're afraid to talk about it?
I would say do what I do and turn into a 5-year-old who just came down to see a bike without training wheels on my 5th Christmas. That means you're a big girl when you don't need training wheels anymore. You are ready to ride. You are ready to ride. That joy, that moment of, is that really there? Is that really mine? Is this mine that's going on here right now?
Yeah.
I become literally buoyant with joy when I have an encounter. It reduces me to looking at the universe with the eyes of a child, the wonder. That's how the book got its name, a wonder to behold.
Yeah.
Think about as you're raising your own children and you saw them see something for the first time.
Yeah.
That just filled them with light and wonder and curiosity, and you could see the fascination behind their eyes. That you were just, she does that to me. She'll see something she's never seen before and she'll just turn and look at me like, did you see that? Oh my God, look at this. Oh my God. And she gets, even if it's the lizard she saw, the first lizard she saw in Florida.
Yeah.
She's like, should I face it? Should I eat it?
Right.
Should I just watch it? What should I do? I'm like, okay, first of all, don't eat it. Don't eat it.
Yes.
Second of all, don't chase it because you're as fast as it is. So don't chase it because then you'll be tempted to eat it. And
either situation won't end well for you, and it's just a whole.
Yeah, it's there's a learning curve. But
my dogs used to eat the lizards.
That moment of sheer just
wonder.
Yeah.
And
like
a wonder that's unafraid.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I've never felt any fear with the galactic family. Never. Not for a single moment have I felt fear. I have felt every other emotion around some of my encounters.
Well, and
every other emotion, including anger at myself for inadvertently ending an encounter too quickly.
Really?
That I wish that I wish I could go back and have more.
Yeah, really have taken time with it.
And I wrote about that in my book. That particular instant where I was literally in the presence of an extraterrestrial unlike anything I had ever seen before. I had no fear of him. Somehow I knew he was male. I had no fear of him, but I was getting what I call a download, just blasted with information to such an extent that I literally felt like my head was just going to rupture and explode. And I ended the discourse, and I wish I will draw my last breath wishing that I had spent more time with him.
Wow.
And he was absolutely beautiful. He was jet black, like, the color of our desk chairs, jet black. And had the face of in the shape of an egg, no protruding chin, just tiny little thin lips, and his eyes, he was part AI, part humanoid, part AI. And he had two laser red orb eyes that penetrated into me so deeply that I literally could not draw my stare away from his. And I had to end it because it was overwhelming to me.
Wow.
I took in as much as I could, and then it had to be over. And he came in between. He usurped and intercepted space in a Skype connection that I had going with a woman who had written a piece of music for me, and she was a contactee. I did not know it at the time. And he came, she was playing that piece of music for me that I had never heard before, and I knew every single note of it and was humming along. And then suddenly my whole screen, which had been working absolutely perfectly on, my big Mac, big, huge computer, new computer, all of a sudden I had like wavelength lines just running all across the whole screen. And I said, Susan, I'm losing you. And she didn't respond. She kept just playing the music. And then I said, Susan. And she turned around and looked at the screen and said, what is that? And I said, what do you see? And she said, I think I see the back of a head. And I said, I see the front. And that was it. She was gone and he was there. And all I heard was this like interesting tapping noise, this very unusual tapping noise. His head was down and he lifted his head up. He had like silver or platinum studs across the top of his head and then from side to side. And when the head lifted up, I saw the eyes and they locked into mine. I couldn't break the contact. I could not. I could not look away. I could not turn my head. And after several minutes of that, and the lights in the panels behind him were colors I had never seen before. Not in the spectrum of light that we have with the normal human eye. Just extraordinary colors. And I knew I was looking inside of a vessel. I knew I was. And that he was in that vessel.
Yeah.
And that he had literally come in between her and me on a Skype broadcast.
Wow.
And after a few minutes where it felt like my head was in a vacuum from the neck up and I couldn't even breathe properly anymore. Without even looking, I reached over and started fishing around for the mouse. And when I found it, I disconnected the call.
Oh, wow.
And I will always regret that. I will always regret that.
And you haven't ever encountered him again?
I got no way to call him back.
Right. It's not like he email you his business card or anything.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I didn't even know that race existed. I know about a number of extraterrestrial races that have visited the planet or are currently inhabiting the planet with us. But I had never seen even a drawing or an image or even a shadowy photograph of
I don't think we've ever heard.
Being.
Yeah.
But he was so beautiful, and I felt absolutely no threat at all, no fear at all. But every other emotion boiled up inside of me. I just cried uncontrollably for about a half an hour. My mother saw him only briefly. She rounded the corner coming into the area where I was at the office desk, and she's like, "What is that?" And that was just as I was disconnecting the call. So she did get a brief glimpse of him.
Of him.
And it blew her away. And then Susan called me almost immediately And my mother answered the phone and she said, Annie can't talk to you right now. She's hyperventilating. She's got to calm down. I'll have her call you back when she, gets herself under control, gets, composed.
Yeah.
Because I was an emotional basket case. I was laughing. I was crying. I was celebrating. I was just like, it was as though all my human emotions had been stuffed into a cage, and he turned the key and opened the door.
Yeah.
And everything came flooding out. It was a very significant moment.
Yeah.
Of the many experiences that I've had. It was a particularly significant one. And it was actually the incident that outed me in the field, because prior to that, nobody knew me for anything except being that ghost chick from the house up in Rhode Island.
Yeah.
And nobody knew what my whole secret life was about. And about a week after I had that close encounter, I granted an interview that was supposed to be based on my books and, the forthcoming film and all of that.
Sure.
And about 3/4 of the way through the interview, one of the two hosts of this show turned and suddenly said, "Have you ever had any extraterrestrial encounters?" And suddenly someone whose lips could not stop flapping went silent. And I just looked at her, and I had three 4D cameras on me from every direction.
Yeah.
And I looked around the room, and I looked at her, and I said, "I'll tell you, but you can't use this film footage."
Yeah.
And with that agreement, I told them what happened to me the week before. And about 6 months later, they sent me the finished piece. And the producer said, "Just watch it and, give us your permission to release it." And I said, "Well, I know what I said. I don't need to watch it I know what I said. I was there."
Right.
And she's like, "No, I really need you to watch it." And so I knew something was up, and there was the footage of me coming out as a contactee and an experiencer with extraterrestrials, and that the biggest leap of faith I think I ever took in my life was giving her the go-ahead to use it anyway. And that particular documentary went out all over the United States and Canada in a boxed set with the DVD of The Conjuring. And suddenly I went from being an anonymous UFO researcher to something way beyond the ghost lady.
Yeah.
And I never looked back, and I have no regrets about that.
That's wonderful.
I had the opportunity to meet extraordinary people in my travels. I have had the opportunity to introduce countless thousands of people directly to the galactic family. And when I go out and I sing to them, they for some reason they have their favorite songs, and when I sing to them, they come.
That's wonderful.
And it's not that they come when called; they're already here. But
right.
They make their presence known in remarkable ways, and it has changed everything in terms of not only people's perceptions of who I am and what I do, but I've had the privilege of opening minds in a way that I can't think of any other thing that I could do that would be more effective.
Yeah.
In terms of that, and so as far as I'm concerned, the lying liars who lie, i.e. the government, can change the name from UFO to UAP, which is aerial phenomenon.
Yes.
Like somehow that makes it more socially acceptable. I don't know. I agree with Laura. I will say it out loud. Fucking idiots. We're on a journey, and we're all on a journey together. And what we need to do is embrace one another, hold hands, and we're all little children lost in the dark. We don't understand, anything compared to what there is to understand and to know about the universe. We're just infants in a crib, just finding
That's
our
true.
way.
That's very true.
So there are no experts in the paranormal. If anybody tells you they're an expert in this field, please feel free to turn around and run in the opposite direction away from them as fast as humanly possible. As fast as your little legs will take you. Yeah. Because not only are they lying to you, they're living in bad faith with themselves if they can say that to you. Yeah. There are no experts in this field. If my family doesn't have all the answers, there ain't nobody on this planet that does.
That's the truth.
So
that's the truth.
Think it's important that we admit what we don't know, that we continue to be, those of us that are seers need to continue to be seekers and to do our best to lift others up and to guide them in whatever way they seek from us, to open their minds to the infinite possibilities which exist in an ever-expanding universe. And that's the truth.
That is wonderful. That is so wonderful. Laura, do you have any questions for Andrea?
I think not that she hasn't already answered.
I know, right?
Good. I mean, just piping in about the kind of stuff that we were talking about.
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah.
Well, it really has been a pleasure for me to spend these couple of hours with you two lovely ladies, and I will come back. I'll let everybody know when the book is republished.
Good.
Be very much longer. It's a tedious process, but it will be to my satisfaction when it's done.
Good.
And I'll post it everywhere. I've never sold it publicly. I never have. I was told to hold it in reserve and only to sell it to people who would, because it's really, really intense. And so I've just sold it over these last couple of years just to my own following of readers, kept it in the family close to the vest.
Yeah.
But I'm ready to put it out worldwide.
That's wonderful.
I hope that it plays some part in, shaking up the vibration and heightening it. And I hope that it resonates with people around the globe and that it makes a difference in the world. That is my hope.
That is my hope for it too. I can't wait to read it. This is going to be really exciting.
Yeah, I'm really excited too. I'm like, how do I get my grubby hands on it?
Right? So, will it be this year in 2022, you think? Or you hoping?
It will be released probably within the next month to 6 weeks.
Yes!
Oh, yay.
I can't wait for that.
My summer reading is going to be now.
Right? Exactly. Well, now, Andrea, you have a show as well, and it is called World Awakening. Why don't you let everybody know where they can watch that show? Every week on Fridays, correct?
Yes, it's every Friday night from 9 to 11 Eastern time. It's in syndication all over the world through KGRA Digital Media. And it is also available. It runs live on Facebook and also simulcasts on YouTube and about 8 other venues around the world. I just know about those 2 because that's where my admins monitor the chat.
Right.
Come up for the bottom of the screen. And it's all about what we've discussed here tonight. I have guests on every week, and we delve deeply into a wide variety of subjects. But, oh, excuse me a second. Oh, my God.
I can't say I've watched some of it, and it is fascinating.
Yeah,
it's really good.
It's a really good show.
So
yeah,
it's
a great show.
It's a wonderful experience for me, and I have a very big announcement coming on Thursday of this week.
Oh, the 31st. Okay.
Announcements coming about other projects that I'm working on as well.
Fun.
So, yeah, I'm really excited to share those things. And so, my website is down for repairs and updating, so don't even bother. But when it comes back, it's going to be phenomenal.
Oh, that's exciting.
And, so I'm working on that too, because of course, sleep is for mere mortals. I don't qualify. So, a nap here and there will get me through. I live on cat naps and coffee. Which is, by the way, the nectar of the gods.
Yes.
The nectar of the gods. Okay.
I agree. Right here.
And I've got several irons in the fire. Some bigger than others.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna put a thing over my man cave office door that says Global Pandemic Productions.
Right.
So much done in this last 2.5 years. It's impossible.
Yeah.
To have gotten everything done that I've gotten done, and I'm just getting going.
That's wonderful.
63 years old. I'll be 64 in October, and there's nothing slowing me down. It would take a freight train.
Good.
That's good to hear.
That's exciting. Well, Laura, why don't you let everybody know where they can follow us? As if they didn't already know, we say it every week.
Just in case.
Just in
case. Wanted to hear me say it one more time.
Exactly. Maybe this time the overlay will work. Let's see.
All right, let's see how we're doing.
There it is.
Okay. You can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at HOAH Podcast.
Alrighty. And
on
lovely.
the TikTok at HOAH Podcast, at HOAH Carrie, and at HOAH co-host Laura.
Yes.
Good stuff.
And that is it. Thank you so much for being here.
This was joining us. It was
so fun. Absolutely amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Awesome.
Let me know when you're ready, and I'll put this out all over. I'll get my posse on it, and we'll put this broadcast out all over the place.
Okay, absolutely. This episode is going to be dropping Saturday morning, April 9th. God, is it already almost April? Jeez, oh man.
Like a couple days, man.
I can't even. I just can't even. Yeah. Okay, so I will text you all the details.
Just, phone me up and say, here it comes. I'm tagging your wall. Go for it, chick.
Okay, I sure will. You're the best.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
All right. Well, we will let you go so that you can take care of Miss Peanut Buttercup. She is so cute. I just love her so much.
I know, so cute. And safe travels to you.
Yes, safe travels to
all
you.
That you do.
Mm-hmm. She's got some big stuff coming up. You are going to be doing a trip to England in August. Is that correct?
I'm going to be doing. We combined the tours with Rick McCullum, who's a good friend of mine.
Yeah.
And so next year I'm going to do England, and he's going to do it with me next year. This year we're going to do Scotland.
Oh man, I want to go to Scotland so bad.
Oh my gosh!
Everywhere else in Western Europe, but not Scotland.
I have Scottish in me. My mother.
Me too.
Is from Clan Buchanan, and she also has Cherokee Indian in her.
That's me.
She's got Irish, she's got English, Scottish, a lot of Scottish, and a lot of Cherokee in her. But I feel drawn to the UK in a big way.
Me too.
And so, however it works out, it works out.
Yeah.
But I just am really excited about it, and so I'm going to be, I can't remember the name. I'll post it on my wall.
Okay.
About the change in the trip and combining the two. It's going to be extraordinary.
Yes.
And I will
It sounds like
get to see the land of my ancestors' birth.
Oh gosh, that is
excited.
Laura and I have been wanting to go to Scotland and ride scooters around forever. So we've got such big plans. You know, we want to do Rome, but I saw that you were doing this haunted trip to England, and I was like, oh my gosh, I have to do this. And the great thing about these trips is that you make a down payment and you can make payments toward them.
Right.
Which is phenomenal.
All up front thing.
Yeah.
It's Mysterious Adventures Tours.
Yes.
And Maria Schmidt is the owner of the company and a good close friend of mine. And so, you know, if you've been holed up in your house for the last 2.5 or 3 years and have a few bucks put aside, please feel free to join us on what is going to be a magical mystery tour of one of the oldest civilizations on the planet.
Yes, I am there.
Extraordinary.
I am absolutely there. And Laura, I'm sorry. As soon as we hang up and hit record, I'm going to call you and be like, we need to plan this, because haunted castles and all kinds of stuff, and it's really just amazing. I know.
I like to travel. Every time I go almost out of the country, it seems like, especially anytime I'm in Europe, but I've never been to Scotland. But I make friends with the Scottish. Somehow, me and the Scottish people end up somewhere, usually drinking, in a pub somewhere. And those are the people I end up talking to like all night, and we just become fast friends. There
will be pints in pubs.
Yes.
There will be. I feel certain. I want to go to Hadrian's Wall. I want to.
Oh yeah.
I mean, there's so much that I feel so drawn to.
Me too.
Over there. It's just a calling. And so I'm very much looking forward to doing this, and nothing would please me more than to have the two of you along on this trip. And really, when you think about it, it's not that expensive.
It's not.
I mean, this is a very cost-effective way
to
travel in groups, take care of each other. You've got a guided tour who is phenomenal. His name is Neil Story.
I've heard of him.
He's just great. So yeah, I would love to have both of you there with me. And oh, by the way, this little excursion is being filmed, and a documentary will be made of it. So I would say move heaven and earth to come along and be a part of a history-making tour as we revisit the history of Scotland together.
We got to do it.
That would be amazing. You should have seen. Did you see Carrie's face?
I was like, we're doing it.
It's done.
It's done. It's happening.
She's just like, okay, we're done. Where do I sign?
Decided. Just let us know as soon as.
Girlfriends, I'm bringing my girlfriends. Yeah, this is great.
Yes, it's going to be the best. So yeah, just let us know, post on your wall, and then we'll get coordinated. I think it's real. Again, you can make payments on it. You make a down payment, you pick your room, you do all of it. It's so affordable and cost effective.
Easy.
It's
Maria
super easy.
Super easy. She'll walk you right through it. She will hold your hand right through it. And it'll be the experience of a lifetime.
Yeah. And they have tons of different ones. Yeah, they have tons of different ones. Dave Schrader, I believe, is going to Egypt. He's taking a group to Egypt. Yeah, you can go to, you said it was Mysterious Adventures? Mysterious
Adventures Tours, yep.
Yeah, go to their website and you can see all of the ones that they've got currently, the ones that are coming up. It's phenomenal, and I am super excited, and Laura and I are going to go right now and start planning.
Sounds great. I'll hold you to it.
Okay.
Thrilled.
Yay!
I'm thrilled. And you have to sit with me.
Absolutely.
People carry your buses and stuff.
Absolutely.
Bring some recording equipment.
Oh, 1,000%. All of the whole time. Exactly.
You have to ask me when I'm not recording.
Right. It's going to be the best. Anyway, Andrea, thank you so much.
Thank you.
God, you are such a lovely, lovely woman, and I'm very honored to call you my friend. So thank you for coming on the show.
You are, indeed.
You,
and
Andrew.
Laura, too. It's been a pleasure and a privilege to join you. And I send out my most heartfelt love to your viewers. And I just want to leave everybody with one thought to end this broadcast. And that is to dare to have faith in the future, dare to hope, dare to believe, and live your best life.
Yes, beautifully said. Beautifully said.
Thank you, Andrew.
All right, guys, we love you. Thank you so much for tuning in. And as we always like to say here at History of a Haunting, stay safe out there because you never know who
Or what?
is listening. Bye, guys.
Thank you.